Hey everyone. So this video I said I was going to make a little while back about giving a few reasons. I'm going to give 3 reasons today. They're not in any particular order of one being worse than another. But do these things and chances are if you're selling firewood, that customer that you sold to will not buy firewood from you again. In fact, they will probably be quite angry and maybe even spread around your name that you don't sell what you were claiming to sell. So this is for if you were claiming to be selling hardwood firewood for indoor use. Right now I'm stacking up some firewood, and I'll talk about that in a minute, about one of the things that you should do if you claim to be doing it and how to do it. But the first one I'm going to say is selling a dry product. If you're advertising dry, seasoned, that word is very ambiguous. I guess the way it gets thrown around is very loosely. So this firewood here has been seasoned, meaning it was first split, and then I consider the seasoning process 1 to 2 years. Even then, I mean, red oak can take over a year. But I have it in this bin with airflow on the sides. I tarp it this time of year. If it gets wet, it's going to stay wet, even if it's dry wood. But sell wood that's not dry. Even logs, I've mentioned this before, even logs that they've been on the ground for 3 years, even a 12-inch diameter red oak, you split that right into the delivery truck as dry wood. It's not dry. Sorry, it's not. It will definitely not be under 20% moisture content. For instance, the stuff in this bin, it's as low as, I don't know, I checked it before. I've seen it as low as 10-11% in this pile. It's probably closer to like 14-15%, so well under the recommended 20%. But selling a dry product, if that customer cannot take that firewood, if you're selling dry wood, and usually they wait till last minute, the customers, a lot of times, if it's like, you know, you got white stuff on the ground, you know, they weren't ready going into the season, or they buy small quantities, they want to burn it right then. So if they can't burn it right then, they're probably never gonna call you again. So number one, sell dry firewood. It needs to be dry. It needs to be under the recommended 20% moisture content. Get yourself a cheap moisture meter. They're cheap, but also figure you're gonna need some time to get it seasoned properly. Number 2, size. So size of length. The average industry standard typically is 16-inch length. So you can sell whatever you want. I understand that. But that size will fit and work in most stoves, even smaller wood stoves. So length, not just too long, but also too short. If you sell a face cord in terms of, say it's 4 feet tall, 8 feet long, these are face cord racks. There are two rows on these racks of 4x4. But if they're 12 inches in length instead of 16 inches in length, that customer is getting a shorted product. Okay, so they're not getting what they're supposed to get. If they are too long, they might have trouble getting it in their stove. But also, so length, too short, too long, but also the girth. I try to, it's hard to tell on camera, but this would be on the smaller end. But also there's some bigger stuff in here. You know, like that one there, that's about 2.5 by maybe about 4 inches that way. So it's a good variety. This appeases and works for pretty much all my customer base. So you sell what the customers want. It's not boiler wood. Most of these customers are burning firewood here and there as supplemental heat. In my case, this works for me. So know your customer base. So number 1, it's got to be dry. Number 2, pay attention to size. And number 3, this one, the number 2 kind of segueing right into number 3. You got to have the proper amount. I mentioned if you're selling a face cord it needs to actually be a face cord. If you're selling a full cord, it needs to be a full cord. So if these lengths, if this is a face cord rack, if I stack out like this, 2 rows, because these are 2-row racks, I can pick them up with the skid steer. Hey, how are you? Where'd you come from? That's another video. 2 rows of this, 4 feet wide, 4 feet tall, but the length isn't right, you're shorting them. Now, I can take these racks, dump them right in the truck. That's what I do with these racks. But if you're just throwing wood on the truck, if you're not measuring it, forget the length thing. If the length is correct, say it's 16 inches, if you're just saying, I'm going to throw it in the back of the pickup truck loosely, I'm not going to stack it out, whatever, you can sell it like that. But you can't advertise. Well, you can do whatever you want. Again, free will. But if you're advertising a face cord and you're just throwing it in the truck and just, it's like this. Hey, I'm selling you 85% of a face cord for 100% of a face cord price. Yeah, you're not going to want to buy that. You're not going to want to pay for that. And that's essentially what can happen. But it's worse than that. I mean, I've heard stories where someone buys a whole cord. Supposedly, they were supposed to get a whole cord, and they end up with closer to half a cord. So, you're never going to get business doing that. A repeat customer, and that's a lot of times what it takes to run a firewood business, which I do not run a firewood business. This is just something on the side that I do. And I've been doing it for, I don't know, many years, and just learned a lot of ins and outs and what works, what doesn't work. So number one, so my top 3 things that I've seen that customers will never return, do these things. Sell green wood they can't burn right then. Sell oversized, undersized, too big boiler wood for their little fireplace, for their nice ambiance. Sell them or short them on quantity. And you will run an unsuccessful firewood business that nobody wants to buy firewood from you. Here's some progress on this year's take. I know it's been a little while since I made a video of the pile. So I had 2 big rows. That's what's left. This first row is totally gone. Probably more than half of that is gone of what was there. And this is what's left. So, all said and done, once that is split into this pile, what I've estimated is probably going to be about roughly 16 cord. It's tough to measure when it's like that, especially when there's some airspace and the size, the diameter of the logs matter. All right, so again, top 3 reasons, shortcomings if you don't want repeat business. Sell green wood, sell all sorts of different sizes, lengths, girth, and short customers on quantity. You will have a very unsuccessful business, or even just repeat customers. But there's actually one more that is a bonus that I will save for another video, and it actually encompasses those 3. It encompasses everything that you do. If we're referring to running a successful business, it encompasses all of that. It's the most important thing. I could sum it up in one word, but I'm not going to. We'll save that bonus, the bonus one, for another video. All right. Till then.